Hello, welcome to my show, You Throughout the Years. Here we will have conversations with ordinary persons like you and me. Everyone has a story, either good or bad, funny or sad. So come and reminisce with us as we find out how these years have shaped our lives. And I am so happy to have a funny and exciting artist by
Oh,
the name Diana. Hello, Diana. Can you introduce yourself to us?
yeah. Hi, Rochelle. So nice to be here. Thank you for asking me and inviting me.
Of course.
Let's see. I've been an artist most of my whole life. But I became. I mean, I've been creating art my whole life, but it was my freshman year in high school at about age 13 or 14 that I knew that I started having dreams of growing up to be an artist, and I took art seriously after that and took many art classes and art programs, and my parents supported me with that. So I've been pretty much a lifelong artist, and my vision disability I was born with, but I have the blessing that unlike other people who have this extremely rare retinal disease, it did not show up in childhood like most people. It didn't present itself until my early 40s. So I had completely normal vision my whole life until my early 40s. And the vision disability showed up in my early 40s, and it was in the last 15 years of my career that I did not leave my career. I continued with my vision disability. I'm considered legally blind, but that does not mean totally blind. For 90% of the blind population, legal blindness is not total blindness for 90% of the population, the blind population. So I continued my last 15 years of my art education career.
You have heard all of that. She is an artist, and she's a special artist because you have heard she have a vision disability. But again, her disability is not her.
Yeah.
She's just living with this disability, but she is an artist, and her art is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes. As I started with all the other shows, what is the first age you can remember yourself?
I think it was around age. I think it was around age 4, and it's just a vague memory of kind of learning how to tie my shoes, something like that. It's pretty vague memories.
Oh, okay. Not even at 2 or 3 or
I don't think. I don't
nothing?
think so. I don't think age 2 or 3 now.
Okay, so what did your parents tell you? When did you start to talk and walk?
Oh yeah. So I don't know about talking. But walking. My mom said I did seem. I learned to walk a bit on the earlier side. If she's correct. I don't know if she's correct. But 11 months at 11 months,
Mm.
and let's see. Um, I don't know. No, I never asked her about when I learned how to talk. That's weird. I don't know. That's weird. I never asked her about that.
Yeah,
About learning to.
a lot of people always ask about when they start to walk, but talking it seems that people do not
They forget. They don't.
yeah forget or did not ask about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, what type of attitude did
Mhm.
Diana have as a child? And that
Oh.
is um from the time you were born to about
Mhm.
11. Were you a difficult child or a sweet child?
Now, my mom told me I was I was not difficult. I was an easy child or something.
Mm,
So that after being during a toddler and older, I always in school and I always just did what I was supposed to do. I
mm,
wasn't at that point. I was not rebellion. Later on, I went through a rebellious phase, but pretty much I did things everything that I was expected to do, or I was what I was supposed to do, and everything that everybody wanted me to do.
Oh, so you were a totally obedient child.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, good. In your childhood, did you have or do you have siblings?
No, actually, with my mother and father, I'm the only child with them, with my mother and father, and they had me later in life. My mother was 40 when she had me. My dad was 43. I'm their only child. And then when I was seven or eight, they got divorced. My dad remarried. My mother never did remarry. So my dad remarried and had a kid, had one boy, and so I just have a half brother, but we didn't grow up together. It's not like I didn't have a. I just saw him sometimes.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm basically, I consider myself only child.
Yeah, yeah. At that time, the divorce, did it impact your life?
Yeah, that was really hard. It was so weird. It was so weird. In fact, this is so strange. My parents did not tell me they were getting divorced. My next door neighbors, who we were pretty close with, my next door
Oh,
neighbors told me my parents were getting divorced, which was very weird. And then I just remember crying my eyes out and crying my eyes out. After that, things changed a lot. My dad didn't move far. He moved several miles away, and I continued to see him like once a week or something. But my mother had took on a full-time job as a head librarian in a library, a public library that was an hour away from our house. So she would have to close most nights. She'd have to close up the library, which the library stay up until like 9 p.m. and she wouldn't get home till 10 p.m. So starting at age 7 or 8, she made an arrangement where the next door neighbors would take care of me. Like I come home from school and go to their house and have dinner at their house. Then their oldest sister would bring me over, because we were next door neighbors, bring me over to my house around maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock to put me to bed. And my mom wouldn't come home till 10, and that went on for several years, and that was very hard to feel like I really didn't have my own family. Always have
I
to be
can.
at the next door neighbors. They were very nice, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can understand that you were in a family, a close knitted family, and then everything just turned upside down. So
Yeah.
it's been from one extreme to another. As a child, I could see how confusing that can be. When you heard about your brother, how did that affect you?
I remember being excited. I kind of happy. I was happy about that, and I used to change his diapers, help change his diapers, and I was 11 when he was born. So I don't know. I was happy about that, and I really loved my stepmother. She was a very actually my mother was not really a nurturing person. Her personality wasn't like that, but my stepmother was a very nurturing person.
But I am glad that at least, although you do not like that your mother and father divorced, you gain a family that you love and were treated you as family. So
Yeah.
that is good. How was school for you?
School, I remember, well, elementary school, like say kindergarten to fifth to sixth grade, kindergarten to sixth grade. I did everything I'm supposed to do. Never got in trouble in school until I got to seventh grade when I, I said I had I went through a rebellious phase starting in seventh grade. But I've had a lot of schooling. So I have to say there was elementary school, then there was middle school, then there was high school, then there was college, and then there was graduate school. My favorite schooling was graduate school. I love graduate school the best, college second best, and then I just kind of and I don't know, the other ones are just high school was difficult, middle school was I think that was a little difficult, and elementary school I kind of just didn't remember that much. I kind of just did what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. So we've heard about this rebel stage. So we're going from your childhood and we're going into your teenage years now.
Well, it started at
So
11 or yeah, it started at 12.
right. So from 12, that's a preteen, and going up to your teenage years. How rebellious was your teenage years.
Yeah. Well, let me say it started at, I mean, a significant event started at age 11 where I told my mom, I'm old enough to take care of myself. I don't want to keep going to the next door neighbors after school. So can I come home and take care of myself? And she let me. So starting at age 11, I just come home from school and nobody's home. I'm there alone until 10 p.m. at night.
Mm-hmm.
From coming home from school. And I did that all the way from age 11 to 15.
Oh, and did you enjoy that?
Well, no, it was kind of lonely, but I tried to fill up my time with, like, I would have a few friends that I could talk with on the phone for long periods of time. I would like talk on the phone have long conversations, like starting my first year of high school, have a couple friends I could talk on the phone with really long. And then, when I went to visit my dad, he lived in town, and I met some girlfriends, and then that's when I started cigarette smoking. And we would hang out like in the alleyway, like on steps. Like actually, it was the side of a church, and the church had a stairway, and we used to sit on those steps a lot and hang out and smoke cigarettes. So I started smoking cigarettes, and then I did try. And then at age 12, I met two other friends at school, and two guy friends, and they introduced me to marijuana. And it was actually, I had the most weird reaction to marijuana compared to most people. And maybe some people say, oh, maybe it was because it was different back then in the 70s. But when I tried it, it made me feel like I was in a dream. And then I started screaming and crying and running around the room. And they say, you're not supposed to act like that when you're high. And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know why, but I hate this. And then people would say, well, it just depends on who you're with and what state of mind you're in. So I would try it other times. Like the first time I tried it was when I was 12. And then I would try it other times. And every time it was horrible experience for me.
Well, that said is not for you.
It wasn't for me. That's right.
So you were doing all these rebellious things, and you say to 15. Can you tell me about 16 to 20?
Yeah. Okay, so then what happened at age 15 was that my mother moved away to live with her parents. And at that point, I had a big decision I could make. They gave me the decision. You can go live with your mother and grandparents, or do you want to, or my dad said, do you want to live with me and go to public school where I live? Still, it would be in the same town that I had been living in, but it would have been a different school because they had two major high schools back then. And then, or do you want to go to boarding school, like maybe private school, boarding school? And to me, I chose boarding school. I thought that would be fun to be with other girls my age. And I thought, to me, that sounded fun.
Oh, okay. Just a boarding school, and you really thought that was fun. Okay.
I thought it would be fun. And the first year was fun, but then I started having some issues, and I only went to boarding school for a year and a few months, right? My sophomore year and a few years of my junior year.
Okay. So I was just going to ask, how was that experience like?
Well, the first year was fine. I had a really great roommate, and the first year I remember was fine. But then over the summer, I don't know how to explain it. Like I just started having mental, emotional issues. Like and then when I came back in the junior year, back to boarding school, came back after that summer, I just would get into crying fits. Like I would even put myself in a closet and kick and punch the walls and the door and keep crying and stuff like that. And I did that several times, and I did it one time in a public bathroom when we were at a school dance. I just locked myself in the bathroom and was kicking and screaming the doors and stuff. And so then they wanted to get help for me, professional help. And they called in, I had a family meeting with people at the school, and they gave me a choice again. They gave me a choice. They said, do you want to leave boarding school and live with your father and just continue day school, like coming to private school as a day student? or do you want to go live with your mother, or do you want to go to a mental hospital? And I chose the mental hospital.
Wow. Okay.
I thought something was wrong with me. Why? Because I think there's something wrong with me.
Right. And the first step is to accept that something is wrong with you and that you need help. So you did wise decisions. So I'm glad that you work on yourself.
Yeah.
Work on yourself. And you can say that it has worked for you.
Yeah, I got help. It was helpful, and I don't know, that was help. It was helpful. Yeah,
Okay.
it helped. Yes, it helped me. It helped me get out of that period.
Okay. That I'm very happy. And you can see how artistic she is. Her hair is pink.
Yeah, does it look? Can you see it, Pink?
Yes, you can
It's
see
going to
it.
gradually wash out. It's going to gradually
Yeah,
wash out.
I can see it, and you can see all the colors.
Yeah, I'm very
She has
colorful
on her.
today. My hot pink
Yeah,
necklace and earrings and my peach shirt.
yeah,
I love colors. I'm a
yeah,
colorist. As an artist, I'm a colorist.
yes. So now we are going into your 20s, and this is a time of knowing yourself. You might not know yourself totally, but you know some more about your life. What career path did you take, and what decisions did you make in your 20s?
Yeah, so, well, starting at age 18 to 21, I was in college, and but I didn't go to the college I wanted to go to because my dad, he wanted to keep an eye on me because of the issues and mental and emotional issues that I did have in high school. He wanted to keep an eye on me, so he made me go to the college where he taught at, and I got to go to college for free because he was a
Oh,
college professor.
okay.
And he had spent a lot of money on me on the private schools, so he's like, no, between the two reasons of the money and the money and keeping an eye on me, he just said he wanted me to go to the college where he taught at in the town where I grew up in. And so I didn't really want to, but I did anyway. And then I majored in what I wanted to major in. I majored in art, and I minored in French because then in my junior year, at the end of my sophomore year, my dad asked, would you like to go for your junior year abroad in France? I said, yes. Yeah, I'd like to go to France. So then for my junior year abroad, I went to France, and I minored in French. So that's where you either had to be a major in French or a minor in French to be in this junior year abroad program. So and then let's see, oh yeah, let's see. Then after college was over, I thought I went to a university for a graduate degree in art education, but then after one semester I changed my mind. The 20s was a lot of me changing my mind about stuff, so I changed my mind. I came back and lived with my dad, and then went to a advertising design program. It was a 9-month advertising design program, and completed that after 9 months. And then I worked in advertising design or commercial art for different jobs. The jobs weren't that great. Then I got one job for 6 months, and then the company went bankrupt. And then a bunch of little jobs that didn't last that long, or the working conditions weren't great, because this one job was decorative sign painting using stencils, and everybody in there smoked. At that point, I wasn't smoking. I didn't smoke anymore. Mm-hmm. And everybody in there was heavy smokers. They were smoking in the workplace. And I didn't like that. And I stayed there a few months, but I really didn't like that. And then tried different commercial art, advertising art jobs, and nothing that really even paid that well either, that I even could support myself. So I was still living with my dad at home. And then decided to go back to art education, because I come from a family of teachers. I didn't grow up thinking I wanted to be a teacher, but I do come from a family of teachers. And then I just thought, okay, let me try art education again, being an art teacher again. So then at 28, I moved into my own apartment, and let's say, and started a 2-year graduate program for art education, getting certified in K through 12 art education.
Yeah.
Age 28, 30.
Okay. So you did not feel that you wanted to be a teacher, but it was in your blood.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Yeah, okay, let me say this. It was not my first choice of a career. It was my third choice of a career. So my first choice of a career would have been a fine artist, like right when I graduated from college, like, okay, let's be an artist now. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. I have no artists in my family. Like they're all have like, they're all teachers and have musical backgrounds. They all like, they're not like professional musicians, but they're singers and they play the organ and piano and everybody's a lot of people in my family on my mother's side are very musical, not like visual art. So there was nobody in my family that was a professional artist for me to like learn from, like, well, how do you become a professional artist? So I left college with my art degree and I'm like, well, I don't know how to become a fine artist. So that would have been my first choice as a career. And then my second choice was the commercial art, but the commercial art, like, well, it just didn't pan out. Like I actually couldn't, the jobs just didn't pay that much, or the jobs didn't last. I would have to leave a job and stuff like that. And they didn't, and they weren't secure jobs or anything, or no medical benefits, nothing. So that's when I realized, well, with teaching, I would have medical benefits. I could support myself. I could do something art related. It was art related. I'm teaching art. So.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. You in your 20s, it was just a time of trying out new things till something stick.
Yeah.
And a lot of us go through that phase and thing, but at least you work on what you wanted, and that was art. In any type of area is art. So tell me a bit about your time in France. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, that was fun. It was in southern France, not in Paris, which everybody would automatically think, oh, you went to Paris. Now, I visited Paris, but I lived in southern France in Montpellier, which is about 20 minutes from the Mediterranean. And so interesting. I was just like, so I don't know, like I met a lot of interesting people, and the French culture was, I enjoyed the French culture. I really enjoyed how they close everything down in the afternoon for like 2 hours, and the slower pace of life. I like that. And they were, and I don't know. That's all. I don't know what else to say about it. It was.
Did you ever think to stay there or?
Oh, yes. So what happened was I was in this exchange program with a group of 20 of us, and all of them were women. There was only like 2 men in the whole program. And a lot of them, well, my girlfriends, a lot of my girlfriends, they did stay there. Like they either met, 2 of them met boyfriends, but the one girl, her French was really good. So she could get into the French university as a student. So she stayed there with her boyfriend, but she also had enrolled in the French university so she could enroll to get a degree in the French university. And I guess she left her college that she had been going to. I don't know how that worked out. But then another friend of mine, I think same thing, same deal. Her French was better and her French was good, and she enrolled in the French university. And another one, I don't think she enrolled in French university, but she stayed there. And then, so there was a few of them that stayed there. And so I thought about it. So, but my French was not strong, which is so weird because both my parents have really good ability in languages. My dad knew 7 languages, and my mother majored in French when she was in college, and she was fluent in French. She considers herself fluent. I guess I've considered myself proficient, but not fluent.
Okay.
And so I couldn't I couldn't get enrolled in the French university or accepted into the French university. So I came home to finish my senior year.
Oh, okay. did you have any difficulties in your 30s, and did you meet any person that pull your heartstrings?
Yeah. So what happened was so I started my career as an art educator at age 30 in a certain public school district and stayed with that for 25 years.
Okay.
Not completely out of choice, because I wanted to stay in the same career after that, but I wanted to change school districts, and I applied to some other school districts within the first 5 years of working there, but never got any other teaching job offer. That was the only teaching job offer I ever got, and I stayed with it for 25 years. And so, but my love life, you want to know? My love life. Okay, I met somebody I was serious about at age 25. And from age 25 to 30, I stayed with him. But I wanted to get married, but for after 2 years of being with him, I wanted to be married, but he didn't. And I stuck around thinking, I stayed with him dating, thinking well, maybe he'll change his mind. Maybe he'll change his mind. And so from age 25 to 30, I dated the same person for 5 years, but he still never wanted to get married. So then I had to actually just tear myself away from that relationship. And then I dated some other people, and my dating life was horrible. It was hard. It was very hard because I don't know. I just kept feeling like I would meet these people that I felt like I wanted to get married, and people didn't want to. They didn't want to. And sometimes I would stay with them for too long a period of time, like months or years, and other times. And then finally I got engaged when I was, I met somebody at age 35. And we dated for we dated for 3 years and then got engaged. So we got engaged when I was 38. And then after a year or so of being engaged, I go, when's our wedding date? When's our wedding date? Oh no, he kept wanting to put it off. So he could never commit to a wedding date.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had to tear myself away from that relationship in my at age 39, 40. So at that time also I was saying, now's the time to have kids. You had always said you'd want to have one kid. You maybe want to have one kid. Now's the time to have one kid or something. And he's it's a very strange situation. I can't even talk about it, but something very strange happened, and I had to leave that relationship because of he had a very strange idea about about having kids, and I said no. I said I have to leave. So I had been in that relationship for 6 years. We dated for 3 years and were engaged for 3 years. So a total of 6 years. So
okay. I can understand if that is emotional turmoil, because you're happy and still you're sad at times, so it takes a toll on you after a time. And you were brave, tearing yourself away from these situations. You knew that you deserved better. So good for you. You said earlier in the show that your vision started to up a bit. Can you tell us when and what happened?
So it was age 30. My vision was completely normal till age 35. In fact, I never wore glasses most of my life until just wearing glasses for distance, like for driving or something, starting maybe in 32 or something. And so, and then so completely bit normal until age 35 when I went to the eye doctor and, for some kind of, for a routine exam. And they said, well, we can't correct your vision to 20/20, but we don't know why. And I didn't notice any difference. I really didn't notice much difference in my vision. And then that lasted for 5 years where they kept checking me and they kept they did all kind of tests on me. Well, why can't we correct your vision? I think the vision was getting a little worse and worse, but I didn't really notice it that much. That's how that started until I finally, after 4 or 5 years, I developed another symptom of a blind spot in my central vision, and then they were able to diagnose me with this very rare hereditary disease genetic hereditary disease called cone dystrophy. Impacts your central vision.
Oh, okay. Is this in your family? Do you know?
Yeah, but you don't know about, like, nobody in my immediate family has it. So if anybody had it, yes, it's hereditary. So if people had it, it was like generations past. And nobody, no relative. I mean, even my great grandparents, nobody. I don't know that nobody ever talks. So it has to have been really late, really relatives way back. And then I don't know my dad's side of the family because they live in Lithuania, and we never met them. I never met them.
Oh, I
I'm
can
in contact
understand.
with them on social media now, but I have not I've not traveled to their country. That's where my dad is from.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that side of the family that
Oh,
well.
yeah, I can see the difficulty to finding out your family health is difficult, especially if family is around across the world. How did this affect you, Diana? How did it affect your self-esteem and
Mhm.
work?
And well, the hardest thing was the thing is that the good news is this is not leading to total blindness. There are, like, there's, like, the way my doctor put it, like, the nasty first cousin to your disease is retinitis pigmentosa. That does lead to total blindness. Your disease does not lead to total blindness. So my vision has bottomed out. It's not going to get significantly worse. So I'm very happy about that because that would mean a whole different thing if I was going to if this was leading to total blindness. And so I'm very grateful for that. And the hardest thing was giving up driving. That impacted my life the most, to give up driving. And so giving up driving was very hard, and by giving up driving, that impacts a lot of other areas of your life. For example, where you buy your house, where you live, that impacted those decisions. But when my self-worth, it just made me when I was told I'm legally blind, I was very surprised. I was very shocked and surprised. And because at that time, I'm just like most people. I don't know that legal blindness doesn't mean you're totally blind, only for 90% of the blind population. So I didn't, and then I'm grateful that it's not leading to total blindness, but I don't know about myself. I don't know about my self-worth or self-esteem affecting that. Just making me sad. I mean, very sad. And I deal with it on an ongoing daily basis with the frustrations of trying to, frustrations of having to use vision aids to help see better. The ongoing struggles of that. It's an ongoing struggle, like struggles dealing with daily, like that. That sometimes, some days bother me worse than others.
Yeah, and that is totally okay, because you're still grieving of something you're losing or you lost. So it's okay.
But I feel like so functional. Like, I feel like I'm a highly functional low vision person. Like, I'm considered the category of low vision, and that's the blind category, you would call me, low vision. But I'm very highly functioning low vision. I continued. I didn't have to leave my job. I didn't have to. And people, when they look at me, they can't tell that I have a vision disability. You can't tell by looking at me, and unless you watch me try to read something. And I don't know.
Diana is a great example of invisible disability.
Oh, an invisible disability. Yeah.
Because
That's it.
you may look normal, they say. It does not mean that you don't have a disability. So just treat everyone with respect. We can see you are totally functional because she loves dancing. She loves dancing and her, as I say, her painting is gorgeous. So,
Thank you.
and keep doing it, Diana. That is your gift. And she's so funny and inviting. This is a year when they say that we are supposed to live our best life in our 40s. So
I don't know why they say that. Why not? I could see that in your 50s. I don't know.
did your 40s bring you other inspirations? Did you really live your best life in your 40s?
No. You're always living your best life, and then you always have the future to look forward to too. But no, no. I feel like in every decade, there's positive things that happen, and then challenges. Easy things, positive things, challenging things. In every decade, there's something. So I don't see as one decade being better than the other decades. I don't see that.
So how was
Better
your
in some
40s?
ways, like you'll say, yes, it was better in the way that it was better, like my job situation was better, my career situation was better in that decade than the other decade, but then maybe something else. Well, maybe you don't have as many health issues, and that, like, I didn't have health issues. Well, I had certain health issues, but other didn't. So I can't compare one decade to the other. Well, so let's say, so I told you that I started my art education career at 30 and continued that for 25 years. And then, so all through my 40s, I was working full time, but of course, as a teacher, I had summers off and other kinds of good vacations. And okay, 40s. Well, 40s is when my parents started having health issues, and I had to deal with them, with their decline in health. And in my 40s, was it? Yes, it was in my late 40s where my dad passed away after both my parents had strokes. My dad died of, he had a stroke and then didn't die from it, but his whole life was changed after he had that stroke. And my mother, same thing, her whole life was changed after she had a stroke. And seeing their declining health was really hard, seeing the big impact on their life and their decline of health and their functioning. That was seeing. So I dealt with that in my mid to late 40s, and then I finally got married for the first time. I got married at age 48. So I was happy for that. I bought my own house in my early 40s. My mom kept saying, "You should not keep renting. Don't keep renting. You should buy now. Now's the time." She would kept encouraging me to buy a house. So I finally did. I bought my own house in my early 40s, and I was proud to be able to do that.
Yes. So
And kept that house for 7 years until I got married.
okay, so you never know, because you did not meet your significant other in your 20s, your 30s. It can happen in your 40s, 50s, or
Yes.
60s. So it's never too late.
No, it's never too late for that.
Right.
It's never too late for anything.
Exactly.
Except for maybe having kids. And even then, if you really wanted kids in your 40s, you could still adopt.
Yes, that is true. And you can even still have a live birth.
Oh, I don't know, but there's so many medical complications you could have, though. I don't know how many people want to take that risk, but you could take that risk if it's a personal decision.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of persons are taking that risk, and it's working out. It's working out. You just have to work with your doctor, but a lot of persons in their 50s and 60s are having children.
Live? No.
Yes.
Having physical births? Physical birth?
How was being a married lady to your Prince Charming? How has it been going for you?
Well, I have to say, nobody's a Prince Charming. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that you have to put up with, you have to be able to accept and deal with the realities of another person. So for one thing that I have to really deal with my husband that is really hard is he that's the word. He's sloppy, and he hoards a lot of things. So I don't mean it like just, you don't think it's just a clutter here and there. It's like I have to deal with a lot of clutter and with him and so, anyway, that's just something that the reality that we're dealing with realities of relationships is it's not, I don't think anybody's a Prince Charming. I think that you deal with realities of people, but here's something, a really special moment that we had one time that one Christmas, it was like the second or third Christmas we were together, and we exchanged presents and cards, and then my card said, oh, that about I'm his soulmate and all the different ways that we're alike and everything. And then it turned out I gave him the exact same card, that we're soulmates. And we bought them at two different stores at two different times.
Wow.
Yeah, and it said that we're soulmate, and that all the different ways that we're soulmates. And I framed it, and I framed that with some other keepsakes, and so in many ways, and yeah, we are that. Yes, we are soulmates, and that we have an understanding about each other.
That sounds so wonderful and romantic. I think that happens when you're married and you're comfortable. Your minds melt to each other, and as the Lord said, the two souls shall be one. So, yeah, that is. Very happy that you are happy in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are going into your 50s, and do you want to share how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 58.
Yeah, she is a feisty 58. Right? So how is your 50s going for you? I know you're still doing your art, and we will talk about that in a minute, but how did your 50s, now being as a married lady, how did you transition being a wife and having to manage the home?
I continued working. So
Okay.
I continued working. We both had grueling schedules. See, I had to move further away from, we considered where we were going to live, and living in my house, having us move to my house would not have worked for him. And because he has a son, and it would have been really hard for him to keep seeing his son every week, because it would have been too far from where his son lives. So I understood that. And it would impact his job really a lot, like the kind of jobs he could get within his job. Within his job, you can get little job. You can get, like, you can change around your shifts, whatever, change your shift. And so that would have greatly impacted that. But basically, I understood because of his son, he would have really impacted him being able to see his son on a weekly basis. So we and then we looked at other houses, and then we just decided, okay, no, we'll just stay in the house that he's already in. And because the definite thing that the house had to have was it had to be within walking distance of a train station, because for me, since I had to stop driving, when in my early 40s, then so we had grueling. I had to wake up for 7 years, the last 7 years of my career, I had to wake up at 3 a.m. He woke up at 2. Wow. He would have to get up at 2 a.m. so he could be at work by 4, and then he would be home by 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So that way, once or twice a week, he could see his son. And then also, he was able to pick me up from the train station in the afternoon. But in the morning, he wasn't there, so I would have to leave the house at 5 a.m. in the morning and walk 20 minutes to the train station. And then my commute from door to door, that includes the walking and the train, my commute was 3.5 to 4 hours a day for 7 years.
Wow.
So that's not by driving. Driving would have been worse because you can't do other things except for listen, like to a podcast or something while you're driving. But I was on the train, so I could sleep, or I could do lesson plans, or I could do grading, or I could check my work emails, my personal emails. I could do all kinds of. I could do artwork. I started doing artwork on the train too with my iPad. I do digital art, and so I used that time productively in all different kinds of ways. And but that was a grueling schedule to have to get up that so early like that. Well, that's the thing that sticks out most. And his schedule was grueling too. He had to get up at 2 a.m. That's really hard. I mean, even though he'd been doing that for decades, pretty much. But I think sometimes he would pick an easier shift, but other times a lot of times he was stuck with that shift. And well, no, I didn't feel like being. Well, I liked being out of to me, the dating scene was a jungle. I was so happy to be out of the dating scene, which was a jungle and being hurt a lot. So yeah, everything was like comfortable, for the most part, it's comfortable. And I'm not in like the dating jungle. and
I can understand. Yeah, I'm so young, and they will say, yeah, date and go and meet people, but I'm glad that I'm married. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It is stress.
No, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I it's 5 years that I'm married this year in April, and I am happy that I don't have to meet people, break up, and then start again.
Yeah, I know. That's stressful.
I would like you to tell persons about your channel, and if you can show some of your art.
Oh, my channel I started 5.5 years ago, and I started it because I had a blog. I had a blog going on, and then I wanted to do better at my blog, so I hired this blog coach, a blogging coach, and he told me, "Oh, in your blogs, you need to put a little video in every one of your blogs." So, and my blog did not do well at all. I mean, I had under 10 people audience. So that's why I had gotten a blogging coach, because I thought maybe this person could help me. And still my blog never went anywhere, but I ended up liking making videos better than writing blogs, even though I do like writing, but not writing the way you have to. I don't know. For a blog, you have to make it like a certain amount of words. Like, I think you had to make 500 to 1,000 words. And anyway, I just like making videos better than writing a blog. So I stopped doing the blog and just was doing videos only, and just enjoyed it, and made it an art channel, and kept trying to learn how to make my channel better. And so that's why I started a channel.
Okay, so what can you see on your channel?
You can see, so it's about, a lot of, art tutorials, like a lot of beginner acrylic painting tutorials. I'll have, like, right on my homepage, you can click on a playlist for a beginner painting, acrylic painting tutorials. And then I do a lot of mixed media art, though. I consider myself a multimedia artist. I work in many different painting and drawing mediums. I don't do sculpture. I have done sculpture in the past, but that's not what I continue to do. Different kinds of drawing and painting mediums. But you can see mixed media painting tutorials, or you can just see time lapses, process videos. Oh, also on Saturdays, I started this thing a couple months ago I play art games. I find it was general games, but now on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, instead of just general games, it's art games. So art word hangman, art trivia, and Pictionary. So most Saturdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have fun doing that. And so there's art games, and sometimes I have guest artists too. So I work with Mary at Pittsburgh Artist Studio. That's her name of her channel. And every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do, on my channel, we do an art live stream together, where we do some kind of art thing. We do an art stream together. And then sometimes on Fridays, I have another guest artist, and she's a watercolor artist, and we do an art stream together too, sometimes on Fridays. And then, well, that's pretty much what you can see on my channel. So I did this inspired by an online watercolor. I was trying to learn watercolor better, but it's ink and watercolor. So an online class, and it's kind of, it's based on what the teacher was teaching on the online, but I did make it myself. So it has to do with the deer. We have a lot of deer visiting our backyard all the time, even though it's like we live in the wilderness, even though we don't live in the wilderness, but all these like wildlife and bugs are around, like bees. We have like 3 or 4 different types of bees, carpenter bees, honey bees, wasps, and that are on our property, woodchucks, raccoons, deer. We have family of deer visiting our backyard, even though our neighbors are right nearby. Like we live in the suburbs, but it's funny. So that's what this picture's about. The deer and my cat, and these are the bees. The bees are here. And then the antlers, well, this is, the teacher was talking about Zentangle line, kind of decorative line work on things. And so I look at this as the antlers, and then here the hair kind of like mimics kind of the antlers, and like reaching out, like connecting with each other. But I have 2 kitty cats that are really that I really love, and so I do a lot of portraits, but not necessarily realistic portrait. But I do a lot of portraits, fantasy portraits. Most of my portraits come from my imagination, like these do. These are portraits that come from my imagination.
Okay. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And that was graphite and Karen Dosh wax pastels. This one I'm very proud of, because it really comes from my own imagination, and it has to do with the winter solstice Woman Unleashed online art retreat, and it happens around the winter solstice. So that's what the white is, like the snow, and women, it's a women's art retreat online, and the red thread, it has to do with the sisterhood of the red thread. Yeah, so it's a thing that dated back a long time ago. It's been going on for a long time, but so in the retreat, like, you're supposed to wrap a red or string or yarn around your wrist and keep it on there for the whole retreat, and so the red thread connects the figures, but I like the figures I kept them very abstract, and I kept the figures really abstract, and so, and I like this one came from mostly from my imagination, so I was very happy with this one, because sometimes I get too influenced by people. I battle that, being too influenced by people, other artists. And this one I did. This was an acrylic. I did this step by step, following this acrylic painting tutorial online by an artist that I sometimes follow. I guess Grayscale Painting. He does a lot of good acrylic painting tutorials. If anybody needs to learn how to acrylic painting tutorial, I like the mistiness in the forest. That's why I was trying to capture that.
Yeah, that's lovely.
But that's not the direction I really want to go. That I go in. I go in the direction of faces, faces from my imagination, like faces and figures. Just things that include faces and figures.
Okay, right. So you see, her talent in her painting is wonderful. So make sure you follow Diana, Artfully Blind with Diana, and I will leave her link in the description.
That for beginners, especially beginner acrylic painting tutorials, but if you want inspiration, like for art journaling or mixed media, that my videos are good for that.
Yes, that is true. You can learn from Diana. We have heard about Diana, her childhood, her teenage years, and how she's living her adult years. Is there anything else that you are praying for, or that you wish for your future?
I have to say that my spiritual beliefs are pretty personal. I don't talk about them often. Well, one thing is I wanted to become more well known as a local or regional artist. I was hoping to get more known as a local regional artist, and I've been making some steps to start making that happen, and I'm waiting actually to hear back on a proposal. I did a proposal to an art center, and I did an art collaboration proposal. And it's called the Dress Project. I actually got an art grant for it. It was a nationwide art collaboration with fabric panels, and non-artists and artists could create art on the panels, and then I sewed it all together into like a 12-foot high dress. That was about 10 to 15 years ago that I got that art grant for this art collaboration, and I worked in partnership with the Women's Caucus for Art in Philadelphia. And now this other art center in Philadelphia was asking, they wanted proposals, and so I submitted a proposal just the other day, and I was just waiting to hear from them, because so that would be just one step on, the collaboration actually is going to help people. It's supposed to help people through art, and help bring community back together after that period of isolation of the pandemic. So we like, through some focus, they're kind of like focus group meetings that we had that the art center had invited people to. We figured out that healing and a coming back together of community was needed. So the art project collaboration that I proposed is, again, it could be a dress project, could be a dress form again, or it could be in the form of big giant hearts, because it depends what the art center thinks, what their ideas are. But I gave them a proposal a couple days ago, and I was waiting to hear back from that. So because that's just one of my dreams, is to like just be more to be more known as a local regional artist. We have dreams of being in another home after this one, a home that will suit our needs better, because we're busting at the seams. I live in a 200-year-old house, and it's actually too small for us. So I don't have a designated art space, so I hope, again, I used to have a designated art space many years ago, and I had an art studio like in the city for 7 years, but I gave that up because it was hard to keep getting to it, because I used to drive to it, but then I couldn't anymore. But so those dreams about like having my work, being able to get out in the community and even help community, like through collaborative art projects or.
So you want the rest of your life with just filled up with art.
Yeah.
You've heard it. This artist want the rest of her life to be filled up with art. And that sounds good.
Art and God too.
Yes. Most importantly, God.
Yes. Because you can have dreams and you can have goals, but it's up to God to like put you in the direction of what's best for you, really, because you don't always know what's best for you.
Amen. Amen. I am so happy that you agreed to be on the show. And
thank you.
You're welcome. And I thank you, the viewer. I hope you enjoy and it inspire you to even pick up a paint brush and do something.
Yes, I just want to say the slogan of my channel is one of the slogans. I changed the slogan. It used to be creativity is contagious, but now it's we are all creative beings created to be creative.
And on that note, that perfect note, we're going to say bye-bye till we see you next week.